So I went back at it with the grinder, because what else are you gonna do? And I was able to get that pretty flat. This upper part was still the problem. So I'm hoping that's enough. You can see I did get into that frame horn a little bit. I didn't touch this weld for this support mount. So I didn't do anything structural. Sorry, that light's behind me right now. So it should be good. I also touched up this bottom. You can see this side's way better. So, back in the early 90s, that was before lunch. That was after lunch. So, yeah, hopefully it fits. We're going to try and put it on here and see what happens.
So it did fit on there pretty nicely. Everything went together once I got the crappy welds ground down. So got it bolted on fairly tight, holding it in place. Now I'm just kind of tacking it together here. You'll see me throw a couple tacks on the corners just to make sure it's going to hold together when I take it off. I'm trying to get that middle to sit together. It just wouldn't sit flush while it was on the truck. Not a big surprise there. I've got it all bolted pretty tight together. So you'll see me mess with a couple clamps and a couple other things, but inevitably I have to take it off the truck and get some tacks put on it. So I appreciate you all tuning in to the part 2. We're going to make some super good progress in this video. It's really going to start taking shape, so I'm super excited for you all to come along for the ride. I appreciate you tuning in. Please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what I'm doing wrong. Give me advice, let me know what I'm doing right. That's always good to hear too. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Alright, so I've got it off the truck and on the table. I'm using the Bessie clamp to push this top piece down a little so I can get these two to touch. I'll use one hand and just hold it, tack it, and we'll get this thing pretty sorted. I'm going to hopefully throw kind of one on each side here, and we'll get it matching, the whole length down. Then this is pretty much set. It looks pretty nice. I'm okay with that. So I've got 2 tacks on either end, 2 tacks in the middle. That should be more than enough to hold this thing together. Alright, so we've got these 2 plates tacked together. So this is our bottom plate. This is that front plate. Going over here looking at our directions. So we have to drill the center cross member. So we'll use 1, 2, 3, these 3 center holes. Those will be our guides. We're going to drill 1/2-inch holes up through this. Oh, got the light behind me again, up through this. So we'll bolt those 2 pieces back on here. Again, hand tight. Don't need to actually crank them down right now. And then we will take a 1/2-inch drill bit, which I have one, but it is pretty dull, so I might have to wait to go get a new 1/2-inch drill bit tomorrow. Or we'll just let it squeal like a stuck pig. So we're gonna get that bolted back on. Let me find this. So this is the plate. This is our next plate. That is this cross piece right here, the nuts on top of it. So this is to help support while winching. So this will bolt through the cross member. We'll have in total 1, 2, 3 across, so 6, and then 7, 8, and 9. So we'll have three into the frame directly, and then 3 total in this cross member here. So It'll be bolted pretty solidly, so that's 9 mounting points in total, 3 to each frame rail, and then 3 across the cross member to hold this thing while winching. So once we kind of have some of this starting to go into place, my plan is to drill out for the AC. What I'll do is I'll get this on and I'll probably just mark holes and I'll drill up here and make sure everything fits correctly, because it's Colorado. I want AC. I haven't had AC for a while in most of my vehicles, and I'm very happy that this one works. While intermittently it still works. So yeah, our next step is to get those 2 pieces bolted back on and those holes drilled.
So as you'll see, I will quickly realize that getting hot metal shavings dropped on your arms is no fun. Go through a couple of different ways to solve that problem here. My drill bit is super dull. I do have a second one. I was trying not to destroy that one as well, just in case. Figured I'd use the one that was already destroyed. This takes a bit. You're drilling through cross-member material. Thankfully, you do have the guide holes, but like everything I drill, this wasn't perfect or straight. You can see it's starting to smoke there. The center one actually lined up with an existing hole, so that wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, just go through, get the holes drilled, and get the bolts run through so we can start putting on that other plate.
So we've got 2 out of 3 holes that work. This one over here needs to be a little bit right. I must have come through at an angle. I was drilling into the existing mounting holes for the skid plate that was there, so it was very tough to keep the drill straight as it was going through and wrecking those threads, and then it would catch and yada yada yada. So I'm going to run the drill back. I will enlarge in this hole slightly to the right. I mean, you can see how darn close it is. Both of these actually to existing holes. So my goal is to not get into those existing holes, since this one has a bit more room in between. So there's that one, and then there's that one. This one has a bit more room in between. We're going to drill that one back out and go from there. All right, so we got it close. I wallowed that hole out a little bit more. I've been using some small files. It's getting close, but that's about it. It's getting pretty late. All right, so my phone died. We are switching to the GoPro. We are turning off the fan. So we got our holes drilled. Kind of made a mess. Let me get a light. Lots of metal, even though I swept up in between, but we did get our messy, so the middle one was there already. We did get our messy holes drilled. Bolts go through it, so on to the next step.
So naturally, I tested it without that top plate on that you saw me just putting on there. So now I'm testing to make sure all the bolts fit, make sure everything fits together, and get things adjusted. So I need to do a little bit more drilling, but things went together pretty nicely.
So we've got to put back on. I've got a helper right now. I see this. I see this. So I believe we've got it fitting pretty nicely back in there. There's a slight gap, but I think we'll be okay. I'm gonna get it tacked. I'll tack the nuts. I already tested whether the welder or not can fit, and it gets close. I should be able to tack somewhere around here and, you know, over this way. So yeah, gonna get that set up, get everything tacked, and we'll take it off.
So now you get to watch me struggle to try and get these nuts tacked on there. Yes, the welder did fit, but welding blind is much harder than I anticipated, wouldn't you know? So I spent a bunch of time specifically the passenger most nut on there. I couldn't get it to stay. I'd go to take the bolt off, and I had it tight enough that when it would go to spin off, it would take the nut with it. The other two I was able to get to pretty nicely. I did eventually get it tacked on there. Is it pretty? Absolutely not. Did it work? Of course. So again, definitely a big struggle. You see me trying to get all these lined up. I did weld these with the bolts going through. I didn't really have a choice. It wasn't ideal. I'm always afraid of having the thread stretch or something like that. But in the end, it was much easier. Obviously, when I would get the MIG gun in there, it would start to move the nuts. So I definitely had to bolt them through. They're quick tacks, so I wasn't too worried. But yeah, was able to get this tacked in, and then once we get it on the bench, we're able to do all the finish welding. So you can see me messing with that nut. That is a passenger side nut that I had some major issues getting tacked on there. I'm trying to clamp it down so I can weld around it correctly. It never really got perfect, but I was able to get enough weld around it that it had no issues holding. So here you can see me adding the supports for that top plate. This goes on either side. This is just to add more structural rigidity and connect the backing plate more securely to the through bolts for the cross member. We'll go through here. I'm going to try and get them as close as I can to equally spaced from each side. There's no direct measurements or anything in the instructions, just basically put them on either side. I kind of looked at the pictures that came with the kit and put them about where they had them. So quick and easy, measured a couple times and got to tacking them in.
We've got that. This is all tacked up. I gotta let it cool. I'll brush it, clean up the welds a little bit, but everything's on here stable. We'll make sure everything still fits, nothing moved around, and then we can actually move to the next step. All right, it's next morning. So we have pretty much this base piece put together. I've got these tacked in, so these are just extra supports. This one's not fully straight. I fixed that. Either way, we're gonna get to actually welding this thing all the way through. Probably start at the front here. We'll do it in different sections so I don't overheat anything. It's actually nice and cool out today, so shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I'm gonna get this prepped, clean up the surfaces a little bit with some rubbing alcohol, make sure I don't have any junk in here, and we'll get started.
So I really hope everyone enjoys the welding montages as much as I do. Enjoy some music and some welding.
Okay. See, we're moving through here. Got both those sides done. Again, super happy with how these welds are coming out. My settings might not be exact. If you're a professional welder and you're watching, I apologize. But as you can see, we're getting super nice penetration. I am going to run at least a couple beads along this backside as well for this bottom plate. I'm going to let things cool off a little bit first. I might run this top side on both of these, and then we're going to take a break. Alright, got those tops done. Pretty happy with how the piece is coming out. We have a couple more things. Again, just going to run some bead inside there to match the outside, and we'll be moving on to the next steps, which will be putting on each of the sides. Alright, so our next step, we are on number 5 here. And it says bevel our long diagonal edge of the number 5 plates, which are these. So these sit here, and they will double up our recovery points. And this whole piece sits along this side, like so, almost. It drops down below, so it'll sit kind of like that. And the winch plate sits on top of this guy. So we need to flip this. We'll hold it here and we'll bevel this edge. When we turn it over, we can weld down that edge. First time beveling, we're going to see how it goes. Definitely has a slight bevel to it. We've got a little lip on the bottom here. We're going to work down until I start to touch that, but let's see. That will sit in there. Look at that, we're starting to get a gap in there. that is where we'll end up tacking it when this is all said and done. We're going to go ahead and get this tacked in. Got it pretty much dead center here. There's no lips that I can feel. I pushed it up against the 2 holders, and I'm using the Bessie clamp to make sure it all stays in one place. So I'm going to throw a tack in the middle and one on each side, and we'll see how it looks. So I couldn't get this clamp down in there in any good position to actually hold it, whether with my big magnets or whatever. So what I'm going to do is get it set up there and tack it on, make sure everything fits correctly, and then we'll burn it in. Now, a little adjusting. How's it look? That looks pretty good. So, their picture obviously has it perfect. We do not have perfect. Just how the metal's moved with the different welds. We can pull it in, but again, it's got some hangover on the inside. I'm assuming I should be able to weld down a part of that. But I believe the main weld's going to be down this inside corner. So we're going to try and do the same on the other side. Okay, so I had to cut one side off. I read forward in the instructions. Probably should have done that from the start. And they actually say to take the winch plate, put it on here, tack it in place, and then put that side on. So we're going to try that, even though the winch plates fit super tight. So that might not work for me, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm not perfectly straight. Some of the movement from welding, etc. So we're going to do the best we can. I'm going to get this tacked into place. I have it flush against the back of this plate. It creates a nice ledge here, which we should be able to weld in. So I'm going to get it tacked in over there. I'll probably go up underneath to get it tacked in. And then we'll get this piece installed. Not too bad. That ended up coming out super nice. It's weird when you follow the instructions, things actually work. Straight. Got my tacks up in there on both sides. There is a bend. This is probably from shipping, right in the middle here. Let's see if I can catch it. Yeah, you see that bend? That's not from welding. That's probably from shipping or something. So I'm gonna have to find a way. I don't have a clamp big enough to get this like I did over here. So yeah, it's happening. I might kind of burn this in now. I'm probably now that I have things on top of it, check the front plate. That's gonna sit up here. And see how everything fits. Make sure this piece is far out enough or not too far out. And then once I verify that, we will get most of this burned in. So I've got some magnets holding on this front piece in there. So trying to figure out, I'm supposed to bevel this edge here, this bottom edge, and then the opposing side. And it's where it mates up to this guy, who is going to come off at an angle. So we're going to see if the camera helps. We get these two pieces. So we're trying to fit this guy at top. Right, he's going to sit in there-ish. This guy will then follow up his line. He's going to sit in there. Like so. So I'm assuming that bevel wants to come out. The bevel will go in towards the truck. And that way this joint right here will be nice and flush at this kind of super light angle. But you know, it's one of those things. Once you do it, you can't come back. Although I guess if this side doesn't work, I could just flip it, right? Because the outside of this will be the inside of that. That makes me feel a little better. Yeah. So you can see what it's going to look like. It's going to look sweet. And they trying to line it up with that little kick right there. I'm going to do one side at a time here, because I'm actually kind of into the body right now on this side. But yeah, I think we're just going to send it. Try and get that bevel to match that angle. Okay.
So for those of you who hung out through all this, I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to finish this off with another welding montage. I appreciate you all hanging out. Thank you.